It might be the most Christian of symbols, at least arguably so. I'm talking about light, the light of Christ, the light that is Christ, the light that shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. It's a powerful symbol, and rightly so. It's a symbol that is not confined to religious use. Even the University of California uses "Let there be light" as its motto. Our own Newman seal, if you've ever paid attention to it, features the rays of the sun in the bottom right-hand corner as a symbol of sunny San Diego, of course, but also a symbol of Christ, not today, sorry, but also as a symbol of Christ the light. And light was one of St. Paul's favorite metaphors. My high school in the Philippines, a high school run by the Jesuits, has this motto, Lux in Domino, light in the Lord, from St. Paul's letter to the Ephesians. For once you were darkness, Paul says, and now you are light in the Lord. Live as children of light, for light produces every kind of goodness, righteousness, and truth. Light in the Lord. That's what Matthew is advocating in today's gospel. You are the light of the world, and therefore your light must shine before others. We, to whom Jesus Christ has been revealed, we who accept Jesus Christ as the Son of God, we, for whom Jesus Christ is the light that fills our darkness, we have been given a special responsibility as believers. Because we are the light of the world, and our light must shine before others. In other words, it is not only God whose light fills the darkness. We, those who believe, those who profess Jesus Christ, we are responsible for letting our light shine. We are responsible for living the kind of life that produces every kind of goodness, righteousness, and truth. We, you and me, and everyone who calls herself or himself a Christian. We. And that's a tall order. But it's not an impossible task, because God does not ask us to do it perfectly. Because we can't. We are sinful human beings. We are finite creatures who are very much reliant on a God who loves us first. And so God tells us how to do it. If you were listening to Isaiah's prophecy today, share your bread with the hungry, shelter the oppressed and the homeless, clothe the naked when you see them, do not turn your back on your own. Then your light shall break forth like the dawn. We will be known as Christians by what we do, by how we choose to live our lives, by how we bring Christ to a world that is in dire need of this illumination. And how are we going to choose to live our lives? Again, from Isaiah today. If you remove from your midst oppression, false accusation, and malicious speech, if you bestow your bread on the hungry and satisfy the afflicted, then light shall rise from you in the darkness, and gloom shall become for you like midday. I think it captures for us very vividly what it means to live as a Christian, what it means to live as a child of the light. Because we are called to put our love into action. We are called to vote with our feet, if you will, to show our love in deeds and not just in words. The past 2 weeks, we hosted the Interfaith Shelter next door in Roeder Hall. And several of you, and members of Good Sam, and members of Congregation Beth Israel, volunteered to serve as overnight hosts or to provide food or other necessities to our 8 guests, homeless men and women who were afforded a little dignity and a warm welcome, if just for 2 weeks, before the shelter moves on to a different church. And Kelly Evans O'Connor, who coordinates the Newman side of things, and those of you who volunteered to help, have certainly been a light on a lampstand. So thank you for all those who pitched in. But putting your love into action doesn't just mean going to the four corners of San Diego, be it the Refugee Support Company, or serving at Father Joe's Village, or signing up for a spring break immersion trip in Tijuana. All good things, all very good things. But sometimes we need to look closer to home, to our own congregation. Because the Newman Center is very much dependent on your support. We don't have our own church. We offer all sorts of programs that lose money, retreats and Thursday night dinners and daily mass both here in campus where we never take a collection. Unlike most parishes, we almost never do second collections, the exception being the retirement fund for the religious. And we almost never talk money in church. And it's a terrible business model. And yet, by some grace, it works. But your continued financial support of the Newman Center is vital for us to continue our programming. Our on-campus programs for undergrads and our support of student-led Catholic groups on campus has doubled, even tripled in the last couple of years. And all of our retreats and immersion programs have been full. There are 2 spots left for the spring break immersion trip. We continue to reach out and offer as much as we can on campus, all of which costs money. The Diocese of San Diego generously supports us by providing the salaries for both priests and a good chunk of our rent. The Society of Jesus generally supports us by having assigned 2 young Jesuit seminarians to minister here, and the Jesuit community picks up the tab. So I'm inviting you today to take a serious look at your commitment to the Newman Center. And I'm asking you to do so in one of 2 ways, or both if you want. To go online and set up a recurring gift every week. It's easier than having to remember to bring cash. And it helps us to predict our budget because we know what we will be receiving. And no, we can't do it by Venmo. If you already have a WeShare account and give online, maybe it's time to update how much you're giving. If you don't have an account, it's very easy to set up. The second way that you might support the Newman Center is even easier. A legacy gift is something that can transform what we do here, and it takes very little effort. Remember the Newman Center in your will. If you're planning to leave something to charity, make the Newman Center one of your top 3 charities. That's all it takes. When I was president of a high school in Ohio, I remember in particular one gentleman who left 10% of his estate to charity, equally divided among his parish, his high school to use for scholarships, and the local soup kitchen where he volunteered. Simple as that. Jeannie Davis, who's a member of our finance committee, is heading up the effort to make legacy gifts a source of support here at Newman. You can reach out to her, or to me, or we will reach out to you, to discuss how you might make a legacy gift and help ensure that we can continue to be the kind of community that has nourished all of us spiritually all these years. Your support helps all of us let our light shine as a beacon to the UCSD community and beyond. So let us pray that the Lord may continue to bless us, that we might live as children of light, the light that produces every kind of goodness, righteousness, and truth.